is you can say anything you want and everybody goes, okay, yeah, that's great. Hey, yay, rah, go fight, win. He's won, so he can say whatever the hell that he wants to say. I mean, that is what you can do. But the truth of the matter is, he's full of crap. Totally. I mean, look, I worked for the dude. We had dudes walking in smoking weed. We had dudes walking in. He held nobody accountable. But here's what you do in modern college basketball. You cheat, number one, and you're going to be successful. That's numero uno. Number two, you go ahead and you decide, well, you know what? I'm just going to say things. I'm going to say things. And if I say things, then, hey, guess what? You'll listen to them.
But a coach has individual standards. Like you may be a young coach. If you're a young coach,
I don't know where we're at here.
A young child. You may have a baby. And you couldn't get him to sleep that night. And it was your night to stay up with him. And you didn't get to sleep until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Got to get up, go to work. You're operating on 2 hours of sleep. You got practice at 3.
Dylan, is this going live right now? What's live? Because I'm hearing Samson.
I think it was just in our Zoom here. You're all good. Keep rolling.
Jesus. So anyway, Samson can say whatever. But he had never held anybody accountable. And I get it. All right. Let me show you how people really think. This is a text. If we could put up the 317 guy's text. Or tweet, I'm sorry. Let's put up his tweet and see what he's got to say. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me how this is all people. You should have cheated, Dan. Really? I should have cheated? How about I went the other way? How about I went and told West Virginia to kiss my ass? And I ain't cheating. And you can have your $3.5 million back. How about we do that? That seems to be a better way. And if you cheat, you would have won more. Haters gonna hate, man. Had more success at IU in 3 years than you did at 20. Maybe you should have cheated and you'd have had more winning seasons. Well, of course. Of course. Well, duh. I mean, I'd have plenty of opportunities to cheat, but you don't cheat. But in college basketball, you do. Here's the other one. This is from John Parks. Now, John Parks is, I don't know who John Parks is. Funny you're so hard on cheaters in college hoops when you're so supportive of cheaters in politics like Trump and so many other conservative politicians. Huh? I'm shocked. I'm stunned. Man. All right. If that's what we're doing, if that's the level, you're right. Because, you know, cheating politicians is the same. Yes. By the way, I voted for Dakich. That's me, Dakich. I voted for me. Is our YouTube up yet? How we doing there? Anyway, I voted for me, and I don't think you should cheat. I am in the minority because people just say win. The funniest thing about Samson is when people say, well, what he did is permissible now. What he got caught doing is permissible now. There's a big difference. There is a big, big, big difference. Big difference. So at the end of the day, YouTube is up, ladies and gentlemen. So good. Well, it says waiting for Outkick. I don't know. But anyway, there's a big difference between what he got caught for and what was actually going on. So my point is this. These coaches can say all they want. The guy that I respect is Izzo. Why? Izzo had a chance to cheat with a kid named Brian Bowen, who wasn't good enough to cheat on, by the way. He didn't. He's the only guy in this deal. That's why I talked to Izzo. That's why I talked to Underwood. That's why I talk to guys that don't cheat. I told you on this show, Calvin Sampson was going to be somewhere waxing philosophic. We had dudes show up. Hey, I'll never forget. I'm sitting there. I'm the director of operations. I'm doing a video thing. This is before everybody got fired and I moved up to head coach. I'm doing a video thing, and all of a sudden, this kid that weighs 400 pounds, a kid named Lia Thomas, shows up 30 minutes late for practice. Just shows up. He's singing that song, Apple Bottom Jeans, Boots with the Fur. The whole club is looking at her. He's singing that, doesn't care. We're getting ready to go to play Ohio State. 3 of our players show up 20 minutes late for a film session, true story. I'm sitting in the back. The entire room smells like weed. When they walk in, 20 minutes late. I think both of them played 35 minutes. They might have ran a sprint. Look, Calvin Sampson can coach a game of basketball. He can coach it up, and he can coach it up nice. He's not Bobby Knight, but he's pretty good. But the truth of the matter is, listening to these coaches wax philosophical on all these BS is insane. Hey, Dan, you had Pearl on. He cheated. I like Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl didn't ruin my school. I like Bruce Pearl. What can I tell you? He's good TV. He's good radio. He's good everything. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Let's see if we can get my bracket up. My bracket's a joke. Actually, it's not that big a joke. It's not. It ain't horrible. It ain't the great. Guys say text messages, Dan. Yeah, okay, text messages. That's what you think it was? That's what Mike DeCourcy thought it was. Please, stop it. Just stop it. Stop it, stupid. All right, couple of things. It says still, well, you guys are asking me via text. I don't know. It says still waiting for Outkick on the YouTube chat. So there you go. All right, let's look at brackets, and more brackets. All right, I'm going from the upper left. My bracket. Yeah, I had Gonzaga winning. Damn right I did. They should have beat Georgia State. In fact, let's just cut to the chase. I got Gonzaga going all the damn way to the Final Four. I've got Gonzaga winning the national championship. Hey, I did take Memphis. And again, those of you that watch Memphis, holy cow. I took UConn over New Mexico State. I took Arkansas to beat Vermont. Close one. So I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. I took Arkansas to then win the next game and play the Zags, and the Zags win, staying at the top of the western side. So we did that. So I got the Zags going through, but they got to beat Arkansas. I got Arkansas playing the Zags. Arkansas is good now. Don't mess around with Arkansas. Very, very good. I had Notre Dame beating either Rutgers, didn't matter, Rutgers or Notre Dame. I had them beating them. Texas Tech winning, Texas Tech beating Notre Dame, Michigan State beating Davidson, Duke beating, you see my bracket right here, Duke winning. I had Duke beating Michigan State, so Duke, Texas Tech. I got Texas Tech. Now remember, that game, this is weird. I think I'm going to bet on Duke, though. I have theories in stuff. I have theories like this. All right, let's talk about it. I have a theory. You give Urban Meyer points in a college football game, you're going to win money all the time. You give Nick Saban points in a college football game, you're going to win money all the time. Let's just be honest about that. All right? Let's just do that. Let's just talk that. So what am I getting? Mike Krzyzewski and points. Mike Krzyzewski and points? Are you kidding me? Mike Krzyzewski and points? I'll take it every time. Probably lose. Texas Tech's good team. A lot of you believe in a conspiracy theory, right? A lot of you believe that Duke has to make the Final Four. I almost went Bill Clinton right there. We will not have sex with that woman, but I'll have sex with everybody else. Anyway, so I got Duke. I got Texas Tech beating Duke, but I'm going to take the points and Duke. And then I got the Zags winning, getting to the Final Four out of the West. You can see here on below in the East, Baylor, baby, North Carolina. Oops. I had North Carolina losing to Baylor. Hey, give both credit. I don't care. Give both credit. I got UCLA, the Fighting Jaime Hawkins. Obviously, I lost with Indiana. I did not think Indiana would quit like they did. And then I got Xavier Johnson, the player for Indiana. Well, you play 5 games in 8 days. Okay. I'm sorry, Peaches. We'll try harder next time. Anyway, there you go. So that's that. But I do have UCLA against Baylor. I do. I got UCLA against Baylor. I have got UCLA winning that over North Carolina. I got Purdue going to the Final Four. I didn't have St. Peter's. No chance I was having St. Peter's. I wasn't having St. Peter's. I wasn't having St. Peter's today. I wasn't having St. Peter's tomorrow. I wasn't having St. Peter's the next day. I ain't never having St. Peter's, but they won, and I like them, and I like Shaheen Holloway, but they ain't beating Purdue. They ain't beating Purdue. Purdue has the man masquerading as a mountain, or the mountain masquerading as a man, is Edey. They've got Williams. Williams is playing well. They've got wings. I understand. Kentucky was no good. Let's talk about that. They were no good. They had nothing going on. Next thing you know, they won or they lost, and I am going to say all day long, today, tomorrow, or the next day, take Purdue, give the points, it's 12.5, and your toes are going to be freaking tapping. I mean, they're going to be tapping. Take Purdue. Purdue's going to the Final Four over UCLA. It's a rematch, 1969, before any of you were born. So I got Purdue and the Zags. I'm still rolling. I made it on Tennessee. Texas. I made it on Purdue. I did not make it. I made it on Murray. Lost to Kentucky once, but I'm hanging in there. Baylor lost. Arizona, top right. And man, is Arizona good. How dumb am I for picking Seton Hall over TCU? Seton Hall, my ass. Kevin Willard left. He was 1 foot out the door, I just found out a while ago. I did not know that. I did not know this. But he apparently was 1 foot out the door. And guess what? You're not supposed to be 1 foot out the door. You're supposed to be in the house coaching your team. Well, his team at Seton Hall played like it was 1 foot out the damn door. They got beat by TCU. Arizona should have got beat by TCU. A no call, but Arizona survived in advance. Houston, I got Illinois right, and then I got them wrong. Houston got their ass beat by Illinois. Illinois got their ass beat by Houston. Woo, that was today, tomorrow, and the next day. That was no joke ass whooping. I mean, no joke. And I don't know that Houston's going to slow down. I don't. But I do know this. It's going to be a war. You got crazy-ass athletes against a tough-ass athletic team. Houston against Arizona. We'll preview it before it happens, certainly tomorrow. But we're just going through brackets now. Michigan beat Colorado State. I had Tennessee beating Michigan. Ohio State beating Loyola, which I told you take that. That was stupid. People thinking that Loyola was going to win. No, that was stupid. Villanova will advance. I've got Villanova against Arizona in the Elite Eight. And Arizona is going to get to the Final Four. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing that I've seen out of Arizona that says it's not going to happen. They're a bit AAU-ish in their exuberance, and it may come back to cost them. It may. I'm not saying it will, but it may. On the bottom here, Kansas, Creighton beat San Diego State, and Kansas beat Creighton. My problem is right here. I had Iowa over Richmond. I had Providence over South Dakota State. And then I had Iowa. What a stupid I am. That's just dumb. To quote my dad, hey, Dan, that's just dumb. The hell you doing? My dad didn't talk like that. We don't talk like this, and we don't talk like that. We just have this D's, them, and dozers. You know what I mean? From Northwest Indiana, Chicago. That's how we talk. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's who we are. I never knew there was a Chicago accent until I went down to Bloomington. And next thing you know, everybody was talking like, hey, Danny, how you doing? I'm like, D's, them, and those. I'm good. How you doing? Yeah. Anyway, Iowa State over LSU. Wisconsin over Creighton. Lovely. Did not see Iowa State beating Illinois or Wisconsin. Didn't see that. Saw Miami in the first round over the craziness that is LSU, and I saw Auburn over Jackson State. Although Jacksonville State didn't even give them a game, I thought they would. I did have Auburn over Miami. Miami's good, man. They got this guard, Charlie Moore. Think about this. 4 freaking schools in 6 years. Good for him. That'll work out well. Can go to a lot of alumni games. Anyway, Iowa State, Auburn, I got that whole thing screwed up. Scratch it out. My whole bracket down here stinks. It's horrible. The only team I've got left in this entire Midwest bracket is Kansas, and I got them losing this week to Iowa, and Iowa ain't even playing. My Final Four, Iowa out. Arizona, Zags, Purdue in. The Zags in Arizona, I like that game. I think that game will be fun. I think West Coast basketball will be back. Look, but I'll tell you this, and I'm going to keep telling you this. I am not going to be surprised at anything. Nothing. When you tell me, hey, Dan, Iowa State's going to the Final Four, tell me I'm wrong. I can't tell you you're wrong because I've said this. Maybe Arizona is physically dominant enough, athletic enough. Maybe Purdue with the bigs, physically, at least inside, but their guard play isn't great and their defense isn't wonderful. Maybe those two teams athletically can overwhelm you. Maybe Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren, the two bigs for Gonzaga, can dominate you physically and overwhelm you. But I don't really see it. I don't really see a team that, man, when they walk out there, you are screwed. Now, I have not mentioned as much as I should Houston. Houston physically dominated Illinois, but Illinois I thought was in a bad stretch. I didn't think Illinois was playing well. I thought their guards were playing really bad, but here's the deal with Houston. If you get a cut, if something happens, Houston pounces. Like, you know, what do they say, chum? I'm going chumming in the sea. I throw all that stuff out there, and here come the Sharks. Well, if you bleed a little bit, or if you've got a weakness, boom, Houston is right there, and they are going to attack. My problem with Houston, besides the fact that Kelvin Sampson's a cheat, is I think Houston, or I saw Houston not play very well at home with a 37-game winning streak against an athletic team in Memphis, did the game for Westwood One Radio, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're tough. They end up losing the game in the end. How tough are they? And maybe that propelled them. I don't know. But I do know this. They play hard. In that audio we played earlier, Sampson can get a team to play hard. There's no question. But when he talks accountability, that's like me talking about hair grooming. Hey, Dan, what kind of hairspray should I use? Well, I think, you know what, based on my hair, you should do this, that, or the other. Calvin Sampson talking about keeping players accountable and pride in your program is like me talking about hair grooming. Or me saying, well, you know, I'm really handsome. You can say anything you want. I mean, let's be honest. You can say any damn thing you want. I can say this shirt's green. Yeah, it's St. Patty's Day. I'm wearing green. You can say anything you want. My problem is when people just say stuff, I kind of listen, and I go, all right, that ain't true. Yeah, that ain't true. No, that's not true. We had dudes literally walk in, and the entire room smelled like weed. And they walked into a film session before we're getting on the bus, and nothing happened. And we won the game, which made all Indiana fans get a little tingly inside, right? A little tingly. Accountability from Calvin Sampson. Hair grooming from Dan Dakich. It's basically the same thing. All right. I'm going to go through from now until Thursday. We're basically going to get you set up for the weekend of the NCAA tournament. Allison Williams is going to join us. The world owes Allison Williams an apology. I mean, honest to God. How about now there are places where you're not even allowed to ask if people have been vaccinated? How about now we've got Lia Thomas not putting her male parts away? Huh? Yesterday was a weird day. Remember when we came on the air, we got her male parts not being put away? We've got Kenny Pickett, his hand size is 1/8 of an inch bigger. Holy hell. I think I got called bad names for my take on Lia Thomas. Why can't we just have a conversation about it? Why can't we just say, why do progressives have to say, he's a bully? He's anti-whatever. I'm not anti-nothing. I'm pro-conversation. That's what I'm pro. I'm pro, hey, if 12 women in a locker room, or however many, are upset because of this unique situation, then how about we help out all parties and make all parties comfortable? You know, last thing, I got about a minute. Last thing, back in the day when we had the Final Four here in Indianapolis and the world was nuts over whose bathroom you're going to use, I said, look, and Indiana was one of those states, and Colin Cowherd had me on, and he asked me, I go, I don't know what's so hard about this. Put two doors. One says restroom, one says restroom. I got killed, crushed. Lia Thomas thing, if 12, 15, 20 girls are uncomfortable, separate place to dress. Not far away. Just, hey, let's just be people. Well, you don't understand that. No, I do understand. Let's just be rational people. Makes sense to me. Dakich, you're a bully and a bigot. If that's being a bully and a bigot, then I guess I'm a bully and a bigot. I don't know what to tell you. But it seems like, I don't know. Seems like the whole bathroom thing worked out. Restroom. Whoa. Jeez. But I am the commissioner of common sense. We got a monster for you today. Coming up 9:30, Allison Williams, 10 o'clock, Doug Gottlieb. Doug Gottlieb has some very interesting things on why things happened last weekend, why dunks affected the game, why non-calls affected the game. And then the great Tom Izzo, we're going to talk about his relationship with Kay, how weird it was coaching Kay's last game, basically, and his career and all of those things. Keep it right here, baby. We'll be right back. Go tell your friends. Tweet it out that our show. Look, all you guys that are on Twitter, just tweet out, this is our show. Let's go. I need more followers, listeners, whatever. Hey, Dylan. I need a... She's the best. America owes this woman an apology. I'm just telling you. She stood up. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but with all that's going on around Disney and ESPN and all their tweets, I don't know. It's not so bad not being there, it seems like. Seems like there's a lot of stuff going on there. And why? Let me ask you this. This pisses me off, all right? So ESPN's going to put this thing out about we stand with, well, everybody stands with these. Nobody's not standing with anybody.
Right.
No one's not. I mean, you don't get moral high ground because you put a tweet out that says we stand with people. You don't get a moral high ground. We all stand with people. We all stand with the lesbian community. Well, who doesn't stand with
Right.
it?
No, yeah, that tweet was a little bizarre to me. And like the first sentence of it is about human rights. But like, okay, so you have human rights, but you also have mandates. So you don't think like forcing someone to inject something against their will is a human right? I mean, I don't know, like when it's politically and socially convenient, you want to take a stand for human rights and call it, it's very bizarre to me. It was bizarre to me that a couple of announcers who I've worked with and I have a tremendous amount of respect with and genuinely like felt the need to pause and take a moment of silence before a game and protest to the Florida bill that they call the Don't Call Gay bill. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And like the encouragement of Disney employees to walk out and protest of it, which if you really look at the bill, first of all, it doesn't mention the word gay, which is the irony of the whole thing. Right. And it only applies to K-3 and just restricts schools from getting into gender ideology and so forth. And it's not very restrictive at all. And if you want to have those conversations with your children, you certainly can. Nothing is precluding parents from being parents. I mean, what a novel concept, right? But this indoctrination of young people and encouraging them to question their sexuality and gender when they should be learning their ABCs and basic math and other basic skills that I think parents send them to school to learn. And not some of the more complicated issues when they're like 5 years old. I'm not sure why people have such an issue with and think it's anti-LGBTQIA plus. If I've lost an initial in there, I apologize.
You've lost. You've lost. You can't. I'm stunned by it because, again, I've had, you're on various group chats and our third grade teacher was Sister Geraldine, and if Sister Geraldine would have called us in and said, "Hey, fellas, we're going to talk about whether you're a boy or not," and we're like, "What? Shut up! We're going to go play Brad Greenwell's team on recess." Let me there. And my daughter's a teacher. My daughter's a teacher. You think she wants to have these conversations?
I hope she doesn't.
She wants to teach kids.
Yeah.
No, she wants to teach kids, help kids, not determine whether or not. I don't know. They're boy, girl. What are we doing? This is insanity to me.
And even if you take the argument, like, well, there's kids that are struggling with this, that are in unsafe environments, or where like parents are concerned. There's a paragraph. There's like a clause in the bill to address that. Like if they think there could be issues at home, to help protect these children. So yes. Teachers should teach. They should look out for the best interests of their students. This bill does not prohibit that. And to turn it into something it isn't, for the sake of, I don't know if it's like a DeSantis smear campaign thing. I'm not sure what the motivation is between having just a false conversation about what this actually is and what it represents. And I think that's like this dangerous place we've gotten into, is where we're not even in touch with reality anymore. And we say things because they stick instead of because of them like having substance and truth. And now the truth is being convoluted, and that puts you in a really weird and dangerous place where like you can't have honest, candid conversations with people about stuff that really matters, because the truth isn't being utilized anymore. And that to me is concerning. I think if you really sit down and like talk to people about what the substance of this is, most reasonable people could agree that there isn't anything really dangerous or threatening in this legislation, but they don't want to go there. They just want to attack and say that, they're being discriminated against and this is harmful to a certain subset of children. But I think what it really tries to do is just let kids be kids. And I think, God, we need that more now than ever.
Oh, my God. I couldn't imagine, number one, being homeschooled all year. Number two, having to wear a mask when I go back. Number three, having to stay 6-8 feet away. Number four, got to get a bunch of injections. I mean, I swear to God, I'm good. Hey, do whatever you want to do. But I do know this. If you don't just fully support it, you get called all kinds of names. And What did you think? All right, I'm going to give you my take on the cut-in. I thought the cut-in was ridiculous. L. Duncan may be the nice. I don't know. I mean, fine. I know Courtney Lyle. My wife's worked with him, and she just started laughing. She says, "Oh my God, this." And I know Carolyn Peck didn't have any substance to it because she had to read. She had, I think this is this. Like, stop. Like okay, so why aren't we wondering about ESPN's position on everything? Don't we have to have ESPN's position on
right?
all
Where
things?
do you draw the line then?
Important?
They've really gone all in on
Right.
this. I try to put myself in the announcer's positions, right? And okay, what went into that production meeting? What was the discussion being had? What were the pros and cons to it? Was this something they genuinely believed? Was this something that the response? And I personally, and I haven't reached out to Courtney or Carolyn, I got the sense that they saw stuff on social media and just felt a need to respond. Instead of saying, what's the impact of this game on these players in this moment, I think they got into the social media weeds a little bit. And that was probably, I'm assuming here, again, I have not spoken to them. It just felt really unnecessary. There are times, I think, when we deviate off the court into social issues, and I think we've been encouraged to do that. You and I both know that from our time at ESPN, but it was always within reason. There was always a connection. There was always a tie, whether it be locally or nationally or directly with the player or a team. This felt forced. This felt like we're going to jam this in here because we're responding to something that we're seeing externally. And it just felt completely unnecessary and uncomfortable. And I'm not saying like they don't both genuinely believe what they said, but there was something uncomfortable about that moment to me that felt a little disingenuous. And so to me, I don't know what their private feelings are. I think they're trying to do the right thing and support a community that has supported women's athletics. And that was important to them. And I can understand where they're coming from that direction. But it felt very forced to me.
I had a friend, I don't think you know him, at ESPN, who does rap shows and stuff and all that. And he said, Dan, it was like L. Duncan hijacked the network. He goes, that's how bad
Really?
it felt to people that worked there. Yeah, like it was like, all of a sudden, hey, get a camera on me and we're going to do this. But hey, be that as it may, good for them. Yay, rah, go fight, win. NCAA, I mean, honest to God, what are you going to do? I mean, you're watching the game and all of a sudden, L. Duncan's there like, what? Oh, okay, good, man. Go get him. Go do your thing. Yeah, go fight, win. Yay, rah. What do you think of the NCAA tournament so far?
Phenomenal. It's been so fun. I feel like there needs to be a phrase for the Monday after the first weekend, because that's like a serious state of sadness. It's like March sadness that Monday after. Yes. You're like,
March sadness,
there's no basketball today. What am I going to do? I have to like go outside to get away from my television. This is terrible. I kind of loved it, and I'm not a Danny Kanell, super anti-SEC person, but I just love whenever these tournaments and postseason games and football too, like they show us that we know absolutely nothing, that the experts don't know shit. And I love it because all that matters is what happens on the court. And the SEC got absolutely destroyed and blew up people's brackets left and right. And it just cracked me up because all season long, all you heard about was the SEC and the Big 12. And then Kentucky goes out there and falls in the first round. And I mean, look, like honestly, Auburn destroyed my bracket, but they did it at the hands of Miami. And like, I should have known better because all season I'm watching my Canes and I'm like, these guys are really good. Like why are they not getting any respect nationally? And I kept thinking, all right, once they beat Duke, like they'll jump up, and they weren't. And I was frustrated all year by the lack of respect they got. So I had them, winning that first game, but I just thought Auburn was going to be too much for them. And their guard play and stuff. And so I did not, I had Auburn going to the Final Four. I thought that was going to be the team out of the SEC that carried the weight. I thought Tennessee would lose before that. So I was super stoked for the ACC, super stoked for Miami. And then I just appreciated, I felt like there were more close games this year. And I don't know if that's just recency bias, but it seemed like they were more competitive across the board this year, which I felt like, like there were multiple times during, the 4 days that I'm like, okay, which game do I watch? Because they're both really good right now. And usually you can pick one because the other one's a blowout and be done. So it was so fun. It was so fun to have March back in full force.
I want to go back to Miami. You're a Miami gal. You are Miami. When people say Miami, they say Michael Irvin, Bernie Kosar, Allison Williams. That's what they.
Every time.
I happen to watch every time. I happen to watch them against Duke. I was home. I forget. I got home from somewhere. Lee and I went, and I turned the Duke Miami game on at Duke, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, whoa, this is a really, really good team. And I didn't see him again, and I kind of lost it. But I knew Charlie Moore. He had been at DePaul. He had been different places. And I don't know. Guards win. They've got really good guards. They cut. They move. I'm not saying they're going to win a national championship, but they're going to, I think, get to the Elite Eight. I do. I think they're going to play Kansas in the Elite Eight.
And they're really well coached. Yeah.
Really well. And he's insane. I followed him at Bowling Green. He's whacked out. He's a crazy person.
He's completely crazy. It was funny because Chris Caputo, their assistant there, what other head assistants, I remember talking to him last year at the ACC tournament. And remember, they were killed by injuries last year. Like, they lost everybody. I mean, they were playing with 7 scholarship guys. They lost everyone. And he kept telling me, he's like, Al, I know we've said this, but he's like, we're going to be really good next year because we're getting everybody back. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. Hope so. And this year, every time I watched them, and it would just be snippets here or there, I'm like, dang, these guys can play. Like, Wardenberg's a really good player. Wong's a really good player. And they play really good team basketball. And I think that's what you saw against Auburn. I mean, Coach L coached the hell out of that game. Like, they played that game flawlessly and they executed it exactly what they needed to do. They are a solid team. And I think indicative a little bit of like the ACC bias this year, that the league was down and it just wasn't a good year. And so nobody gave them credit for some really good wins that they had in conference play. So yeah, it's awesome. I hope they take care of Iowa State. Obviously they're kind of the hot fun team right now too. I just get nervous because last time they were in this position, I believe it was Loyola Chicago. That was their Cinderella story when they went to the Final Four and they beat Miami on the way. So I'm like, oh God, I hope that doesn't happen again. But yeah, they've been good all year, but nobody's paid any attention to them. So I hope they get to play Kansas and then, we'll see what happens. But
we don't only, Allison Williams, we don't only have conspiracy theories in politics. We have conspiracy theories in sports. My peeps, the vast Dakich nation, is convinced that Duke is going to get to the Final Four because Coach K has to get to the Final Four. It's the best story. It's Cinderella. They're convinced referees are going to help them. They're convinced television is going to help. Everybody's going to help Duke. Your thoughts on this conspiracy theory?
Everybody always thinks that everybody's going to help Duke. Like that's a yearly conspiracy theory, whether it's
every year,
or not. Everybody thinks Duke gets all the calls, all the bias and all that. It would be a phenomenal story. So here's my Duke conspiracy theory. My Duke conspiracy theory is that if Coach K doesn't get to the Final Four, he's going to be like, nah, I'm going to run this back one more time and pull a Tom Brady and not actually retire. Ooh. That's like my joke conspiracy theory, because he's like, he can't go out having lost his last game to North Carolina. He lost in the ACC championship. And then if he doesn't get to the Final Four, like he's crazy competitive. I could be like, I could see him be like, 41 years, not quite enough. Like we're going to have to do this one more time. Tom Brady did it. Why can't I? He's a GOAT. Nobody knocked him for coming out of retirement before really retiring. So that's my Duke conspiracy theory, that if they don't get to the Final Four, Kay will be like, Shire, you just chill for one more year.
We'll pay you, head coach. Have you ever been in Kay's office?
Yeah, I have. It's like a shrine.
So you know this. Yes, you got to go. There's offices, coaches. It's like, who's is it Goldilocks at top of the temple? Who the hell's at the top and somebody comes to save them in Disney? I don't know. but it's like that kind of a
Right.
building, right? And then the assistants, and then your thumbprint, you got to go up to his. He's keeping that office. Let me add to your conspiracy theory. He has said he's not moving out of that office. So, hey, it ain't like they got to move the furniture back.
I mean,
it's one
The
less
pictures
hassle.
aren't coming off the walls, so.
Right. I think a lot of people, but he looks to me, now again, I don't know my ass from third base, but he looks to me to be miserable. Like every time I see him, I feel like he's miserable. Like he just looks mad all the time. And I don't know. I mean, but maybe I'm wrong. Look, if you were going to say to me, I would make it 70-30, he stays retired. I'm not making it 100%. In fact, I might make it 60-40
Really? Okay.
that he stays retired.
Let's.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
It's his life. It's the only thing that would be embarrassing is he did the whole farewell tour. So unlike Brady, who announced it post season, right? I mean, that's a little embarrassing when everybody's paid homage and you've gotten all these gifts and everybody's done the celebration and there's this big, send off. And then if you're like, no, it's cool, but let's just do it again. Then that would be a little awkward.
That would be, hey man, you mind giving us whatever the hell we gave you back so we can do it again this year?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying no. Let's put it that way. All right. When you look across the board, you're on the West Coast, Gonzaga, UCLA, Arizona. You and I covered the Big Ten for years. You mentioned the SEC going down. Hey, I feel like every year we talk about the Big Ten this, Big Ten that. We got 2 out of 9 left. And, oh, by the way, West Coast basketball pretty damn good again. Again. Mm-hmm. This isn't again, right?
Yeah, well.
I don't know. I would.
No,
Go ahead.
It's super interesting. And I think Gonzaga deserves a lot of the credit for that, even though they're not in the Pac-12. Like what they've been able to do in their conference and the way they've shifted the attention out west and consistently. I mean, Mark Few has been doing this consistently now for the last several years since he got through the Final Four in Phoenix a few years ago, so 2016 or so. So he's developed a consistent winner there, and they consistently go deep in the tournament. And now you've got UCLA back in the mix in the Pac-12. It's interesting. I mean, because I feel like the Kansas or kind of like the more Arizonas. I mean, they've been there, right? But UCLA was down for so many years, and now that they're good, it's super interesting. And I feel like too, when you look at the Big Ten, whenever Michigan State is down, that to me is kind of they're a little bit like the UNC Duke, like where Michigan State falls is kind of, I feel like, how the Big Ten is viewed to a certain extent. And because you're having the great Tom Izzo on in a little bit, we'll give them that credit. But because he's been a consistent contender too. So whenever they have a down year, I feel like the conference looks down, if that makes sense. But yeah, West Coast basketball, I mean, it's obviously here to stay. I mean, as much attention as we pay to all the East Coast games and East Coast teams and all that, you better stay up late if you want some good basketball, because that's where it's being played right now. And again, it's a consistency. Yeah.
It's every year. Yeah. It's every year. It's all right. I have a, this isn't a conspiracy theory, but I have a Phil Mickelson take that I'm curious your thoughts on, because you have balance. You have strong standards, but empathy. I have strong standards, I guess, and zero empathy. I'm like, you got to do this because of this, and you have sense. So, all right, Phil Mickelson had all his problems with, he tried to take over the tour, whatever. So then Phil Mickelson's going to take a year off. I'm saying this, Allison. Phil Mickelson, you're 50, whatever you are. You only got so many years not to be a ceremonial golfer. He said he's not going to play in the Masters. I say BS. Get your ass to Augusta, play in the Masters, do a press conference, say, look, you don't like what I did? I don't like what I did. It's over. I'm moving on. Hit one down the middle, and let's go. Get off your ass, Phil. Don't bow to a woke crowd and hide and play. What are your thoughts, if you have any, on that situation?
I do agree with you. I think you go play. Like this whole forced like apology cancellation culture, like, enough. I mean, the fact that everybody thinks they have a right not to be offended, and like nobody should ever say anything that isn't completely in line with a certain side. Like, I'm over it. It's created this ridiculous like division, and no, I agree. Go play, make it about golf again. And I think the sooner you do that, the sooner you put it behind you. Like, just like get it back on the course.
Right.
No, I agree. Look, I don't know physically if there's issues there at all with him. But I think if he's physically capable, then yeah, go out there, confront it. It's golf. Tiger Woods continues to be liked. Look at what he has done and gone through and how he is screwed up. Like the public will forgive you. Get back out there, Lefty. Right. I'm with you.
Yeah, get out there and say, hey, look, I'm going back to my Buddhist principles like Tiger did, and then go play. I mean, just do what Calvin said. Yeah, Calvin Sampson's giving a speech on, he's talking about making players accountable. Hell, I was there when the whole team was smoking. I mean, just say it and then go play. All right, two things I never thought I would see in my lifetime. Okay. You ready for them? Lia Thomas will not cover up her male junk in the locker room. The term her male part is her male genitalia in the locker room. Why is this so difficult that if you have, and her teammates apparently are uncomfortable. Why is this so difficult if we have a whole team here and this unique situation is making people uncomfortable? Why can't we solve the situation? Just say, okay, hey, look, we're going to solve it. We're going to make everybody comfortable here. You're going to dress in a little separate area. No big deal. Why is that so wrong? Don't we at some point have to consider the teammates and their feelings in a locker room, a woman's locker room?
Yeah.
Why can't we just have a little bit of an area? Why is this hard? Tell me I'm wrong, please.
No, you're not. And I'm all for inclusion. We have to get past this. We don't want to exclude anybody, so we're going to offend the masses to make one person feel more comfortable. And we can't say the feelings of one trump the feelings of 17 others. And I'm not saying that they should dictate everything, but they need to have a voice. And if it's an uncomfortable situation that could be rectified easily, then that needs to happen. The thing that bothers me with the whole Lia Thomas situation is that it doesn't seem like anybody is giving much weight to the experiences of her teammates and her competitors and how it's impacting them. And if you want to argue that she has a right to compete, like, great, let's have that conversation. But can we also acknowledge that it takes away directly opportunities from other young women who have also trained their entire lives as women to compete in this sport? And we need to be able to have this in a civil manner. And instead of attacking anybody that thinks that maybe Lia Thomas does have a biological advantage because she is a biological male and calling them derogatory names, can we just talk about the facts that she is significantly taller? She has wider shoulders, slender hips, bigger feet, bigger hands. These are things that are because she is and was born a male. She was born a male. So we have to stop pretending like differences don't exist, because how do you celebrate differences if you pretend they don't exist? Okay. And it's mind-boggling to me that people, like, you can be inclusive and also want fairness. And the fact that we are censoring, did you see this? The woman who missed out on the NCAA tournament from Virginia Tech, the swimmer there, was blocked off of Twitter. She had her account taken off of Twitter. I mean, this is asinine. She spoke out that she felt like her spot was stolen, and she has been blocked from Twitter. Like, that's the point we're at. She didn't say anything hateful. She just expressed her feelings. So if Lia Thomas is able to express her gender, why is this woman, Rika, I think is her name, I hope I'm saying that right, why is she not able to express her opinion?
Yeah.
And we have to stop with this pointing fingers and thinking everybody is a bigot and transphobic. And if you don't support Lia Thomas, you don't support women's sports. Like, no, this is an unfair advantage. And just because you go through hormone therapy does not make you a woman. I understand there is a disconnect. Like, my thing, sports should be based on sex, not gender. So I understand there is a disconnect for some people between their gender and their sex, and that they are not always aligned. And I empathize with those people. I can't even imagine how difficult a place of dissonance that creates within your day-to-day life and internally, and the struggle and so forth. But that does not change the fact that biologically you are still a male. And while there are surgeries and treatments and therapies you can go through to help you feel and express more the gender you identify with, biologically, there are still certain parts of you that are always going to be male or female based on how you were born. And some of those things give you direct advantages in sports. And we need to be able to talk about that, because I understand sex and gender can be different, but I don't understand why gender determines where you compete. Nobody told Lia Thomas she couldn't transition and continue to compete on the men's team. Like,
Let me address that.
Yeah.
Can I address that? On Yale's softball team, there is a woman that is transitioning to a man playing on the Yale softball team. Now, Lia Thomas is a man transitioning to a woman on the women's swim team. Why isn't the woman, and this will come out soon enough, but Yale has a woman transitioning to a man. Why isn't she playing on the baseball team? She's playing on the women's team. Why is it that?
And we see it in the NBA or the WNBA, right? Where there's like non-binary people who play and so forth. And so it seems like it's become more of an issue with women's sports. And that to me is concerning because of the plight that women have had to get to a level playing field and opportunity within sports. And especially when you talk about the Olympics and the fact that there will be Olympic opportunities taken away from women, that is concerning to me. If she does want to compete in that pool, there should be an asterisk, or there should be, we're awarding the top 4 medals, or there needs to be some sort of accommodation or concession if you're going to allow this, because to act like these differences don't impact the sport, I think is very, I just think it's unfair. And it bothers me so much more in individual sports than team sports, because of the advantages that can come with the differences biologically, right? And they are the way they directly impact speed and strength and so forth. So look, the conversation needs to be had, and it needs to be had without accusing people of being terrible persons for thinking that she does have an advantage over her fellow swimmers.
When we, as you know, when we post this interview, there will be hate.
Yeah, and I understand that.
It's
and I understand that that's why a lot of people don't talk about it, because if you don't think like people, now we just hate people who don't think like us. I would, honestly, God, if I could get any interview right now, I would want to sit down with Lia Thomas. Like, I genuinely have empathy for her as a person, as an athlete. I think what she's gone through, I think it took courage to do what she's doing. I really do. I think she's brave.
Absolutely.
To do what she's doing.
I do too.
But I think she also has to be honest with herself and the things that make her special and different, and the advantages that they give her. So I think there can be a respectful way to have this conversation, but it sure as shit ain't happening on Twitter or like online, right? So we need to have these conversations with people, and we need to be comfortable having conversations again with people who don't think like us. And we've gotten to the place where we don't do that anymore. And that needs to happen with this issue because the implications are too big.
Well, that's really well said, because I have said, and Lee and I obviously talk about this a lot. We both said, I mean, look, it takes a ton of courage every day to listen to or read or see, yourself being just crucified or loved, either way, in the media every day as a 20-year-old or whatever it is. I mean, it does take a ton of courage, but it is a bigger issue that unfortunately people twice, 3 times the age of Lia Thomas can't have a rational conversation on. It's not frustrating anymore. It's almost accepted. But you know what? Screw it. more conversations like you and I are having, maybe it'll make it easier for people. I don't know, but I'm with you. I would love to talk to Lia Thomas because I think it's a fascinating story. I got to run.
You're the
best.
Have a great rest of your week.
You got to run? You got to run? Where are you running to? It's not even light outside.
That's what I need.
Where the hell are you running?
Need my latte.
You're the best, A-Dubs. Thanks, A-Dubs. All right. She's the best, man. She's the smartest, most sensible, empathetic, and toughest person you will ever meet when it comes to these issues. And look, I mean, why can't you have a reasonable conversation? Doug Gottlieb, we got him on? Oh, let's go. We'll just go straight to the man. We got the man? Yeah, let's go. We don't need a break. What the hell am I breaking for? Doug's the hardest working man in television. Hey, Doug, I want to get into something so people understand this. You said something that I thought was great. Two things. Because there are very few people that I talk to that understand the psychology of basketball. Let's just go that way. Scott Skiles famously said, you know what? Basketball is like church. Many attend, few understand. You talked about Jabari Smith getting dunked on in the Auburn game by the Miami kid Wong. And you talked about the refs basically saying to Davison, no, we're not going with this crap, and how it affected both. Can you expound first on Jabari Smith and then on Davison?
I think the biggest thing that we do that's a mistake as fans of the sport or as coaches of the sport, and I think especially bettors of the sport, is we try and eliminate the mentality of the human being. Sometimes we do. We think, road game. We think about crowds. But really I don't know. You've coached it at that high level. I've played it, coached it some. And, they're still kids, and especially Jabari Smith. And here's Jabari Smith. He's 18 years old. I think he'll be the number one pick in the draft. Everybody's told how great he is. He had this unbelievable dunk in the first round where it set the world on fire. The crowd's going crazy. The TV crew's going crazy. And they're playing against Miami. And the way it usually works is nowadays when you play against somebody, you know who they are, right? You're warming up against Miami, and you're like, I don't know who any of those dudes are. Like Charlie Moore, dude, that's a different generation of player. I mean, think about this for a second. Like Charlie Moore is a completely different generation of player. And Isaiah Wong, there's no way Jabari Smith has ever heard of or conceptualized Isaiah Wong. Was Isaiah Wong dunked so hard, I felt like the soul left Jabari Smith's body. And here's where that team, and I liked Auburn. I thought they had, when I saw them a couple times in person, I was like, that's the best team in the country. Them in Kentucky. They had the best dudes. They had a little bit of everything that they needed. But those point guards weren't leaders. They just weren't. And I think here's where kind of Bruce missed as well, is when they came out of the break, it was a 1-point game. He felt shook, and you got to know when you're a point guard, like, all right, I got to get this dude going again. I got to get him a lob. Whatever it is, he likes that elbow ISO. Let's just keep going that elbow ISO until he's right again, because he was not right again. And sometimes in boxing, sometimes a guy catches a jab in an early round and it stuns him and it affects him for several other rounds. In basketball, I think in this particular case, I thought Jabari Smith getting dunked on late in the first half, I thought that completely changed Jabari. I thought it completely changed Auburn, and I thought it completely changed Miami. And then Miami just feasted on him in the second half. And then, Wisconsin, I like Brad Davison. I know most players in the Big Ten can't stand him. But by the end of your career, when you've been doing it a while, and I suffered this, like I couldn't shoot by the end of the career. It's just like, it was a joke. It like all the bad things or all the good things can manifest itself. And I saw him playing in round 2, and he's doing his Brad Davison thing where he's kind of throwing his body into places and flopping. And he got a couple calls that were bizarre, but it felt like the officials at some point are like, we're just done with this. We've seen this shit for 6 years. We're done. And he had a couple of what I thought were terrible calls go against him. And the look on his face, he was like apoplectic, And so when you take away the core of what kind of somebody does, where for Jabari, it was his confidence, and for Brad, It's this ability to kind of draw fouls and to draw calls and to get the other team off their game. I think you take away that from guys, how they react, how you take away somebody's fastball. Do they have another pitch? I think Auburn wasn't ready for that. Collectively as a team, they didn't get him back going. And I think Wisconsin, there's a lot of reasons they lost. I mean, they shot like 1 of 18 from 3, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think for Brad in his last game, it was one of those, the officials were like, we're done. We're just done, Brad. Sorry.
I think you're absolutely right. Let me ask you because you know every player, like you're a savant with this stuff. How good actually is St. Peter's?
I think they're pretty good. I also think that the Purdue matchup, like it's not just David versus Goliath in terms of size, right? Like people have seen Purdue, like Zach Edey blocks out the sun. He's a gigantic young man, 310 pounds, 7'3", 7'4". I mean, and you're going against St. Peter's. It's got smaller, diminutive, but it's also how they're playing and how they're moving. Like Shaheen is my age, and my age, you can go either way. You either run what your coach ran in college, and he played for Tommy Amaker at Seton Hall, or you're like, hey, I'm running the new stuff. And he's running all the new stuff. And they're moving it. They're trying to engage switches. I think they're beautifully coached. I don't know truthfully how they'll defend Purdue. And I don't know how, and this is a hard one. I don't know if you've been in this situation. Going home sometimes is a bad idea. Staying on the road can be a bad idea too, because you're just not used to it. But going home can be a bad idea because everybody wants a piece. Sweet 16 for St. Peter's is like a Final Four. They beat Kentucky.
Yes.
They beat Kentucky. John Calipari's salary is $8 million. The collective budget of St. Peter's athletic department is $7.5 million. So, I mean, it's an all-timer upset. But sometimes going home can be weird because no matter how locked in kids are, like there's the distraction of being home. And look, they should get the distraction. They should get the attaboys. They should get new women. They should do whatever they want. But in terms of can they beat Purdue, I think they can. I don't know how they rebound against them. I don't know how they stop Travion Williams. On the other hand, how good are they? I think they're pretty good. I think they're really well coached. And I love the way they play. The way they play, you get to chasing shooters, and they'll get layup after layup after layup out of slips. And they play away. They play what I call 2022 basketball, where the ball is moving side to side, and there's a lot of false motion. And what they're trying to ultimately do is get you in a bad switch to attack your big guy, which you can do against Purdue, or get your big guy to hedge out and slip when you're trying to defend their shooters. So Purdue's as good a staff as you're going to find anywhere in the country. I think they played as good a defense as they played all year last weekend. But it's a challenge guarding this type of offense. And it's also hard. When you were at Indiana, you guys played like athletes in action, right?
Oh, yeah. Lorenzo Romar.
Yeah, and what do? He just come down and give it to you, right? Lorenzo Romar is now the coach of Pepper.
Oh, God.
When he played athletes in action. He just go one-on-one and just give it to you.
Oh.
The hardest thing to play against in college basketball is a team that has absolutely nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Right.
Right? Because you're sitting there and you're Purdue, and like, you know, you and I have talked about Jaden Ivey. Like, look, Jaden Ivey's a top 5 pick. Someone's going to take him. Right? And Jaden Ivey already has kind of that confident sort of peacock struck anyway. And now all of a sudden I gotta guard dudes that like they like to talk about player rankings it was Zach Edey. Like good luck finding those dudes player rankings in St. Peter's. And like now I gotta go guard these dudes, but they'll make you look bad. And they'll humble you in a heartbeat.
I was talking to Mike Lewis, assistant at UCLA, about their game. And, you know, we were talking about how they played St. Mary's. And to your point, there's a lot of personal thing there. You know, you're UCLA, you're not losing to St. Mary's. But he also said their defensive activity was as good as it's been all year. That matchup with Carolina is interesting to me, Doug, because Carolina threw 4 guys in 20 points or more at Duke. They got guys that can go get buckets, and they can throw it inside once in a while on some screen roll stuff in the middle. What do you think about that matchup?
I think it's a tough matchup for Carolina, and here's why. I agree. Carolina's playing better basketball than they played all year. I think Hubert and that staff, they kind of got it figured out a little bit. Obviously, up until the last 5 minutes when it got hairy, or 10 minutes when it got hairy.
Yeah.
That was nuts. But I don't love UCLA. And Mike has been great in getting me tickets and talking to me about their team. And I don't like them from this standpoint. UCLA's also kind of like figured it out. And teams can do this when they come back from the Final Four, where they can go a bunch of different ways. Some can come back super focused. You know, Maryland can go back and win a national title. Some can come back and it's really hard because everybody's told them how good they are. And now they're all, you know, when they have all these agendas of trying to make the NBA and you have to have the agenda of winning. That was the beauty of that team last year. And I do think that some of their lack of success in the regular season, in the Pac-12 postseason, and Mick having his foot well planted up their ass, I think they felt like over the weekend they woke up. Because I know they had a couple of issues with a couple of guys trying to do too much, and they had meetings with them. And the basic conversation was like, hey, dude, when we got here and we played you, they booed you, okay? And they booed us for putting you in. So now you're a good player, but you're playing like you're one of those numbers that's hanging up there. And we love you, but if you're one of those numbers that was hanging up there, you wouldn't be playing here anymore, right? And whatever those conversations were, I think they really, really worked. And the difference for UCLA, which has hurt them most of the season, is the addition of Miles Johnson. Miles Johnson's a big shot blocking center. He's a transfer from Rutgers. Of course, they went to the NCAA tournament last year. And Miles is a good player. It's kind of 5-on-4 on offense with him. He's not really a huge part of what they do, but defensively, big body, shot blocker. But they need him against Baycott. So now I think you'll get more out of Miles Johnson. I think you got the confidence. Johnny Juzang showed a lot of toughness in first half. He was terrible. Second half, he came back. He was very good. And then Jaime Jaquez, I believe, to be their best player. And then, the little point guard, he kind of bailed them out in the first game as well. So he played really well against Akron. I didn't think they played terribly well against Akron, and they just survived. I thought they played one of their 3 best basketball games of the year against St. Mary's. And then St. Mary's didn't shoot very well and didn't play very well in their own right. And so I think, UCLA's best, I think, is a little bit better than North Carolina's. And I also think that, North Carolina's kind of scary when they get running up and down. I don't think UCLA will let them run up and down. They like to play a lot more in the 60s and a lot more physically. And some of it will depend upon how the game is officiated, but I don't love the matchup for UCLA.
Duke survived Texas Tech?
They can. I thought Notre Dame had about as good a plan as you're going to have, for Texas Tech. Like, don't stop trying to run against them. You got to know their switches are coming. You got to hit that weak side corner anytime you drive. Okay, they are walling off everything you do. And it's going to be a fascinating matchup because all the things that Duke wants to do offensively is all the things that that Texas Tech wants to take away, right? Duke wants to live in the lane. Texas Tech does not want to let you touch the paint. So, listen, Notre Dame was like, screw it. We're not touching the paint. We're just throwing it around, drive in, kick it to the weak side, shoot threes. Let's just shoot threes. We'll be fine. And they can't score. The problem with Tech is they just can't score. They can't. They got, what school did the Waterboy play at, right? Where they decided, hey, let's just punt every time we get the ball. Tech would love to do that. Their offense can be a little rough. Their defense is awesome. I think Duke survives. I do. I think they find a way to make enough shots. I do think they have good jump shooters. I'll be interested to see how they handle the pressure because Texas Tech will extend their pressure. And with Duke playing without a point guard, I would extend my pressure a ton. I don't know. I thought, you know, I will say that Duke showed some championship mettle there where they're down 5. And man, that thing was and you want to talk about playing well. Michigan State was just playing well. There weren't any tricks to it. They're just playing good basketball. They're all the things that Izzo had got out of them. Like they're finally hooping. And Duke, that's where those guys are main court players. That's what you can't account for unless, and this is interesting, Dan, because I talked to a high major coach yesterday and I was like, tell me about summer recruiting. He's like, it's the biggest waste of time there is because you got to recruit out of the portal, right? Like you go after the top 15, top 20 high school Americans, you don't get them, then you just get to the portal. You get to take somebody else's kid anyway. But one of the things you find in recruiting, I think, when you really recruit a kid is those type of players, like what Duke had, where you're down 5, you're in the main court game, everybody's watching, and how do you react? And those kids were awesome. I mean, Roach's 3, I don't think he hit one the whole rest of the day. Those took some big balls. And people can say whatever they want about Duke. You like Duke, you hate Duke, you like Kate. Like, I'm just watching the players. And I was really impressed because Michigan State was kind of out for blood, and they were playing good basketball. Now, Joey Hauser, a couple of defensive breakdowns. He tried to score over Paolo, and that didn't work out. And you see the difference in the level of athleticism of Joey Hauser and Paolo Banchero. But I was really impressed by Duke taking all the punches from Michigan State and then down 5, counterpunching and kind of boat racing Michigan State. And just that was when the lights go on, because you can go either way. That thing could have gone to 20 and Michigan State could have won, and Mike Krzyzewski could have shaken hands and gone in Michigan State's locker room and cried on the podium, and it would have been the career. But it didn't go that way. And I think those kids are a big reason why.
I agree. Are you in or are you out on the officiating? It seems to be a big deal here with people.
I mean, I'm pretty reasonable, and I think generally it's been better all year. And when you have 68 games, you hope you don't have a couple. But boy, they were bad in the Baylor game, and the missed call at the end of the Arizona TCU game, that feels like a tournament changer, you know. And I again, I have a personal background in this. 2000, we played Florida in the Elite Eight. If you go back first round, our ex-teammate Scott Robish takes a charge on Florida, not called. He was a little bit far back, whatever. He's falling back. Florida wins. I think Mike Miller scored at the buzzer, right at the bucket. Round one. If that call is different, right? Florida doesn't move on. We probably play Duke. Duke's really young in the Elite Eight. We go to the Final Four. Life changes. TCU was going to have Mike Miles at the free throw line. And to people who ask, like, what was he doing? He's just dribbling around. Like, okay, look, if you get quick double, and I don't like I don't really know why you bring a big guy up only to get a switch, I guess. Eyeball string. Like, just let him go.
But they weren't switching. They were just trapping. They weren't switching. So that was dumb.
So it was a smart play to try and dribble out of the trap. Like I actually teach that. Like, look, you can pass it out of the trap, but you can also, if you think the big guy's slow enough, like, go beat him, get him on your hip and go. Now it's 5-on-3. But he couldn't get around that corner. That's great defense. Then he comes back. I thought it was pretty obvious he was fouled. Like, did he throw his head back? Like, yeah, but he was dislodged. You have to call a foul or backcourt violation. One of the two. You don't get away with not doing it. It's not the way the profession works. So I thought it was bad. I thought they were out of position. And then I thought the Baylor thing was a debacle. And, you know, we do this with, and I've been anti-replay of elbow for the longest time because there's a lot of context that's needed with every elbow, right? One, I mean, is it the first elbow or are we catching up on something else? That's the reality of sport. Or two, in this case, like Brady Manicky got it high and he may have meant to do it. Okay. Like basketball, like you're going to catch an elbow. But was that offense so sinister? It goes from, we're going to eject him from the game. Like, oh. And then usually when a kid gets ejected or a coach gets a technical foul, usually the officials help that team out. They're like, all right, We got rid of one of your guys. We'll give you a couple calls. It got worse. Now, I will also credit Baylor in that Baylor, you sense that. Hey, they ain't calling shit. Like, let's get up in full court deny and just be super physical. Like, I'll coach that. I mean, Louisville and Rick Pitino or Georgetown and John Thompson, like their basic defensive philosophy was they can't call every foul. So if we all foul on every play, can't call every one, right? And that's basically what Baylor was doing, only they weren't calling any fouls. And then North Carolina, they got a little country club to them. Like they did not like, I mean, it wasn't Carolina, was it? It was, who beat Baylor? Yeah, it was Carolina. Yeah.
North Carolina. They
did not like that. Now, I don't know what they kept running the same press break, and then they got super tight. But I do think that the officiating was atrocious there. Like, look, at some point, a guy's trying to get open. Like, you got to call a foul. You got to call the first one, because otherwise, then it gets really ugly. So, do I think the officiating is just some abject disaster? No, a lot of good basketball, a lot of good officiating. I think we put them in a bad. We give them a no-win situation with the block charge rules. Like, you got kids just taking dives left and right. Like, that's not the official's fault. It's maybe one official's fault. The kicking out the legs is hard to see in real time, really is. But there are some basic things that you have to know, and there's some basic ways in which you have to handle it, which I think in some of the big games was missing. And it was bad. It was bad, but I'm not somebody who thinks the officiating is roundly just all of it is bad, but there's some bad ones, and there's some. Yeah. My brother is one of these. He thinks that there should be a sixth foul. He's like, look, I think there should be a sixth foul, especially for the NCAA tournament, because we came to see the kids play. And I was like, yeah, but it changes everything with rotations, and I get it. It's just the idea that officials sometimes make a bad call. And one bad call in college basketball affects you way more so than in the NBA with 5 fouls. I don't know if I agree with that one.
I don't know what I agree with. I don't know if I agree with moving the ball to half court on a timeout, a 6th foul, basically going to the NBA. Hey, dude, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on your show the other day. Thanks for coming on all the time.
Why are Indiana fans on you?
Because I don't really know. It was kind of odd. Woodson's daughter came at me. What's his name? Xavier Johnson. Because I thought Notre Dame wasn't tired. I thought Notre Dame came out and balled. Indiana's guys making excuses. We had 5 games in 8 days. And I thought Indiana quit. And I just, as a former player, I was there 17 years. Hey, look, Hubert Davis said it right. You put the Carolina uniform on, you step up in big moments. You put the Indiana, in my opinion, now I know I'm outdated, but you put the Indiana uniform on, you're supposed to step up. You may not win, but you got to play. And I thought Indiana flat quit. And I said it, and they got all pissed off. Good for them.
They did quit. And now I will tell you that what the St. Mary's guys thought was they were out of gas. I said, what happened? They were gassed at halftime. They were done. They had nothing in the tank. We've all been there. But again, it's what you're.
I don't know. I don't believe
what you're talking about. Is,
I don't buy that. I don't think we've all. I don't think we've all been there.
What you're talking about. Well, 5 and 8 days is a lot, dude. For a college kid, it's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
And it's not
but
like
also, hold on a second. But you also got guys getting suspended, going out. I mean, don't go out.
Don't
go out.
There's a better.
I mean, all the bar owners in Indy are my friends, so I know stuff.
Right.
No,
that's the smart point. Is like, okay, if it was 5 and 8 days, and this is coming up, and you guys are all milking cookies and in bed at 10 o'clock at night, and you did everything you possibly could, like, all right, you missed shots. Everybody misses shots. Okay. But if you're going to go party like a rock star, and then all of a sudden you got nothing in the tank, we don't have a lot of sympathy for you, because we have actually been. And everybody's been in that. Anybody's player's been in that hotel room, and it rings, and now you'll probably get a text or whatever. But that hotel room phone rings at 10 o'clock. Yo, DG, you want to go get into something? Like, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good. Or hell yeah, let's go. Let me brush my teeth and throw on some deodorant. Let's go. Like that's the decision.
I'm going to tell you.
Decision, man.
I'm going to tell you.
You want to win or you don't.
I was in Indiana. I was at Indiana 4 years. That never happened.
But
Never. Never. Like, you got to be, I have too high standards. I understand it. I have too high standards. And Indiana fans, they're happy, because their players seem to be nice guys. They make cute videos, and they quit. And they beat Wyoming. All right.
yeah, that's not the standard of Indiana basketball. You look behind one of the.
I don't
look
think
behind
so.
That rim, there's 5 banners. That's the standard. No, I get you. I get you. I wasn't.
That's how I look at it. I mean,
and I'm somebody who, it's like, look, you can miss shots. You can't make somebody make shots. It's an impossible thing. But
no.
you can give me everything you possibly have. And yeah, they said we're too tired, and that's. Eddie Sutton had one. I don't know if Coach Knight used this. Son, you can be tired, but you can't play tired, right? So,
yeah, I mean, Knight used to do this. We used to bring it out like this. You got a 2-hour window. In that 2-hour window, you're asked to play 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Every 4 minutes, you get a 2.5 to 3 minute timeout. After 20 minutes, you get a freaking 22-minute break. What's so hard about playing a game? And then we used to get further. You still there? Then we used to go further because I got a bad headset right now. Then we used to go further. All right, let me see if I understand this. Obviously, the whole AAU thing, you play 3 games in one day, but that's different because of the pressure. Yeah, that's different. Then you're done at 10 at night. Maybe you can't sleep. We don't do anything the next day anyway. Then we're asking you to do the same thing. You got a 2-hour window. Okay, you warm up. You got not used to put it out like, all right, this is what is actual. This is what is fake. What is fake is you saying you can't do this. What is actual is here it is for you. You're a 20-minute-a-game player, fine. And it just, like, to us, it made sense. Like, damn. And I didn't play. You're younger than me. I didn't play 5A. I never played an AAU game. We didn't have AAU. I played baseball in the summer. But that made sense. And I know it's old school, and I know it's stupid, and I know people don't want to hear it, but I don't know.
Our thing
again,
was,
I bet you feel like, hey, Doug, I bet you feel like if you put on an Oklahoma State uniform and it's a big moment, you got to rise to the moment.
Yes. And like full disclosure, I don't think we did in a couple big moments, but I don't blame anybody else. But I don't blame anybody else for it, and I don't blame fatigue for it. We had my last game.
I turned it over to go to the Final Four. I turned it over with 1:18 to go against Virginia to go to the Final Four, to go play Akeem Olajuwon. And it wasn't because I was tired. It was because I didn't listen. I spun dribble when I shouldn't have. And hey, fine. You're not always going to win, but you got to show up. That's my only thing. That's, right, wrong, happy, or sad. You got to show up. Always, without fail. I got to run. You're the best. Appreciate you. See you, brother. That's the great Doug Gottlieb. I could talk to Doug Gottlieb every day, all day about hoops because Doug is honest. He's informed. All right, Izzo, when we come back, hopefully, prayerfully, Hey, welcome back. Thanks to everybody listening on the YouTube chat. Thanks to everybody listening on Twitter. We'll go to Outkick if you're looking for us. We want to make this the best show ever. We want to make this your go-to in Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday. We're only on 4 days. We only give you this kind of greatness for 4 days, so we thank you for paying attention. We're waiting on Coach Izzo. My guess is, being as old as we are, you screw it up. You know what I mean? You just kind of screw it up. You screw up the damn Zoom call. You screw up everything. I want to go through some games real quick and give you some lines and see what you guys think. Number one, Arkansas, Gonzaga. Gonzaga's minus 9.5. I'm going to give you a word of caution here. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Be very, very careful betting against Gonzaga. I'll tell you why. They showed against Memphis a gear. Like against Memphis, they showed a whoop. Man, let's go. They were down 12 in the second half. That 12 became 4. Now, that 4 didn't immediately become 6. Didn't immediately go from 4 down to 4 up. No. Memphis was balling. Arkansas is the same thing. Arkansas will do absolutely the same thing. Arkansas is not a slow team. Arkansas is an up and down team. Arkansas will press you. They'll get you in some certain traps. They'll get in trouble. But be very careful. I've had a lot of people tell me they like Arkansas getting 9.5. Be careful with that, man. And don't bet the 155 until you watch the game. Because Eric Musselman is a smart dude. And Eric Musselman is he will, I promise you, figure out the best way to beat Gonzaga. And that may include slowing this down in half-court offense. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but in the NBA, you have so many different ways to play because there's so many different teams and you play night after night and you got to adjust that I'm not going to be surprised even a little bit if Musselman does something like that. I'm not. So don't touch that game until you watch that game. Probably a good game to live bet. But I'm not touching the 9.5 on that one. That's silly talk. Michigan and Villanova. I'm taking Villanova, and I'll give Michigan the 5. I am. I think Michigan's good. I like the way their point guards have been playing. Devontae Jones came back from a concussion. He's playing well. Houston is an athletic wing. Dickinson is a very good post kid, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. But, man, any of you watched Villanova? Has anybody watched Villanova? Has anybody said, hey, look, I'm going to watch Villanova? I'll raise my hand. I'm going to watch Villanova. I have watched Villanova. And to me, Villanova is the best coach team in this entire field, and they have been from the start. Why? I'm going to give you something that nobody on television other than Doug Gottlieb could possibly give you. Why is Villanova the best coach team? 2 reasons. One, they are totally committed to their coach. You look at a Villanova huddle, it isn't this. It's this. Coach. Okay. That's what Villanova is. The other places are like, no, that's number one. Number two, they don't make mistakes. Victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. Big sign. Put it in your life. Put it in your house. Put it in, do whatever you got to do. But victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. What does that mean? It doesn't mean you're going to win 100% of the time. It does not mean that. It means it favors you if you make less mistakes. And guess who don't make mistakes? You want me to tell you? I'll tell you. Villanova. Villanova does not make mistakes. They hang on to the ball. 1,001, 1,002. Biggest thing you can do in coaching is teach your team to hold on to the ball, unless, of course, you got a quick reversal for a shot, a quick drive, or a jumper. One of those 3, beautiful. If you don't have one of those 3, hold the ball, take a look, see what you got, and let's go. Period. Period. That's it. I'll take Villanova. I'll give you the 5. My toes are going to be tapping. Texas Tech and Duke. Texas Tech and Duke. Texas Tech is actually, according to what I saw this morning, a 1-point favorite over Duke. 2 schools of thought. Thought number 1, and by the way, don't be afraid to tweet it out from the Outkick app. Thought number 1, do yourself a favor. Always take K in the points in the NCAA tournament. And number 2, don't be afraid of over 137. I know Texas Tech plays defense. I know they don't have a great offense, but Duke's going to get 75. They are. Duke's going to get 75. And if Texas Tech wants to play in this game, it ain't going to be in the 50s. It is not going to be 52, 51. It ain't going to happen that way, period. It ain't. Get it out of your mind. It ain't going that route. You're going to have to score points in this game. And if you are Duke, or if you are a Duke hater, or if you are a Duke fan, Mike Krzyzewski, the head coach of Duke, getting points, that's good business. That's good business. They can shoot it. They can drive it. They got strong guys. They can go get Banchero in the middle of the floor. He can spin. He can go. He can shoot. He can do whatever. They're going to score 70 in this game, period. You're not beating them in the 50s. It ain't happening. I'm sorry, but it ain't happening. Arizona's a 1.5-point favorite against Houston. All right, 2 schools of thought here. Number 1, Houston has played teams, Illinois, like them. Quick guard, strong big guy, maybe too much, not a real skilled big guy, not a crazy athletic Illinois team. Quick, somewhat quick, shooters. Pretty good matchup for Houston when you really look at it. But the truth of the matter is, Illinois is not Arizona athletically. Here's the other school of thought. You remember last year in the Final Four when finally Houston had to play somebody that wasn't a tough, scrappy team? They got their ass beat. They got kicked. I think Houston gets kicked in this game. I do. I think Houston gets kicked. I think Arizona covers this game. I think Arizona puts Houston on their back, puts them on skates. Whatever the cool kids say, that's what I think Houston does. We're waiting on Coach Izzo. I don't know. He's busy, and we ain't mad about it. If we get him today, there you go. Couple of things. That's Thursday's games. Tomorrow I'm going to give you both games, but that's Thursday's games. And whoa. Friday. Do yourself a favor. Do it right now. Take Purdue -12 against St. Peter's. The only way this bad boy doesn't cover, only way, is if St. Peter's somehow, someway hits 3 threes at the end of the game with their scrubs. I like St. Peter's. I agree with Doug. They're very well coached. I think Shaheen Holloway is a tremendous coach. Hollowell is a tremendous coach. I think that he will be the head coach at Seton Hall, but they got no chance against the bigs of Purdue. None. 0. Zip. Nada. And 12 ain't enough. In fact, I'm going to look up the first half and see what it is, and I'll give you it by the end of the show. I'm just telling you. So, don't at me. Breaking news. You ready for breaking news? This is breaking news. My wife has banned me from responding to idiots on Twitter. It's been on a week now. It's a week ago today. I got in this deal where, you know what happens with me on Twitter? And does this happen with you? What happens with me on Twitter is somebody says something, you come back at them, and they change the narrative and become a victim. Happened to me last week. My wife's like, it ain't worth it. People are nuts. So, those of you that I know you're out there. I see you. Those of you that tweet me and say, Tanner Hill says, no way Duke gets 75. Okay. All right. 73. They're getting 70. And my toes are going to be tapping. Here's the deal. I'm not responding to any of you. So hate away on me, but you ain't getting my attention. You know what they say in church? Don't give them your energy. You're not getting my energy. I ain't letting you have my energy. No energy. John Gordon, who I'm trying to get on the show, wrote the Energy Buzz. Are you an energy taker or are you an energy giver? You people, like I just got a tweet here. Citizens Free Press fan. You're the best coach in the history of West Virginia University. That's a reference to me being at West Virginia for 8 days. That was in 2002. Yeah, it was. 20 years ago. They're still mad. See, those of you that are just learning who this is, Dakich, I'm like a roach. I stick to you. You can't get rid of me in your mind. Women, from the past. Players calling all the time. I love it. Had a long talk with one of my former players, Johnny Reimold. He called me, Coach, I now understand. Friends from back in the day still coming in town. I mean, I am one of those guys that it's like a West Virginia fans 20 years later are still whining. That's a compliment, right? They're sad. Their team stinks. Hasn't been any good. All that stuff. Haven't won a conference tournament. West Virginia has not won a conference, but they're mad, so I get it. Indiana fans are mad. Not real fans, but they're mad. I'm like a cockroach. Seriously. Hey, Dan, that was a compliment. Jennifer, it was not a compliment. I've dealt with these people. You, as the commissioner of all my tweets, should know better. All right, well, Dan talk about the women's tournament, and everyone will get annoyed because they don't care about women's sports. I got to tell you, I do. I am the foremost advocate of women's sports in this country that is a male, that isn't participating. I talk about it literally every day with my wife. My stepdaughter is playing softball at Harvard. That's what we discuss, and I loved watching IU, even though they didn't cover the other day, against Princeton. 6-point favorite. You're playing at home. You're the 11 seed or the 3 seed against the 11. You don't cover, but yet I still enjoyed it. I did. Enjoyed the living hell out of it. And now they play UConn at 2 o'clock on Saturday, and I got to tell you, right over here is my couch. And right over there is my television. My fat ass will be on the couch watching NCAA games of both the men and women's tournament. Do not at me. Perfect opportunity this year for the Hoosier women to beat the iconic, greatest program in all of basketball, men's and women's, UConn Husky women. That's it. Apparently, Izzo may be, I don't know, he may be tied up. But anyway, don't at me with that, people. I will talk women's hoops. In fact, I need to get a women's coach on here. I think I'll get Austin Parkinson on, the head coach of IUPUI's women. He's maybe the best coach in the state of Indiana. That should drive Indiana people nuts. But anyway, my wife has banned me from responding to any of you. So feel free to rip me all you'd like. You ain't getting my joy, baby. And it's been a week. It's been a week, and I ain't mad about it. Period. That's right. It's been a week. You all aren't getting me. Everybody's a damn victim. Let's go through this. Right? When you look at the landscape of sports, who is the next person to apologize? Right? You got to have an apology somewhere. Come on, people. Who's with me? Let's go. All right? I'll give you the next person to apologize because we must apologize. Of any slight, we must apologize. I will apologize to all you because Tom Izzo isn't on. I must apologize. The third story down on ESPN.com. One, world number one, Ashley Barty retires from tennis at 25. You're going to see a lot more of that because we get so hurt now. Two, these are the important stories of the day on ESPN.com, right there on the main page. Two, Zion posts dunk video among ongoing foot rehab. Oh my God. A guy who's never done jack squat in the NBA posted a dunk video? Holy cow. Oh my God. Did he really, ESPN? He really posted a dunk video? Oh my God, he's 6'6", he can jump to the moon, and he posted a dunk video. But here's the good one. We got to do this. You know we got to. Orlando Pride apologized for not allowing display of gay banner. Orlando Pride apologized after a supporters group was told it could not display a banner that said gay at a match this weekend. The Black Swans banner was in reference to Florida's recent legislation dubbed by critics Don't Say Gay. The supporters went on Twitter claiming the sign was deemed political and removed. So what? If you're not having political signs at your arena, then why are you apologizing? Of course, the Orlando Pride, everybody's got to apologize, blah, 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 blah. And these folks are the folks, and I don't know why the Orlando Pride said we're not going to be political. Listen to this. They've championed the rights, LGBTQ plus rights, and there are 49 rainbow-colored seats in their home stadium to honor those killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting of 2016. I don't understand, then, why you're not having political signs. I don't get it. Like, if you're going to be political, then be political. If you're not going to be political, then don't be political. You're obvious, and that's fine. I got no problem. Like, people act like because you're bringing this up, that you have, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great. Particularly the honoring people that lost their lives. Just what is so hard about saying this is what we're doing and then do it? We want to make the Orlando Pride political. Then be political. We don't want to make the Orlando Pride political. Then don't be political. I mean, or what the hell is really so wrong? Can I just ask a simple question of all of you? What is so wrong with bringing a sign to a game? Like, I get it. If I'm holding this thing up and it says, you know, Jimmy Joe's a jackass, and okay, I get it. But gay. What's so wrong with bringing that to a game that it has to be deemed something, kicked out, and then apologized for? Like, when we were kids and we'd go to Wrigley Field, man, we spent the night before making signs. Look, I don't want some kid holding a sign up when you've paid $500 for seats behind you, or $100 or $10. I get that. But what's so wrong about bringing a sign to a game? But if it is in violation of what you have deemed so wrong, then don't apologize. Whenever you make these hard and fast rules, you end up apologizing. It's the same thing in coaching. It is the same thing in coaching. When you say, if you do this, then this will happen, and then your best player does this, and now you got to do that. And you're like, oh, man, this really wasn't that big a deal, but now I got to suspend him because I made this hard, fast rule. Every day, somebody is apologizing. We'll talk. I think we should have a segment, if I can find one every day. Today in apologizing. Look, just be people. Can we just be people? Bring a sign, great. Support the team, great. Be political, great. Don't let them be political, great. Don't let them be political, great. Whoever them are. Hey, big fat bald guys, I'm with you. I stand with you. Whatever. But just don't all of a sudden be... Just stop. Hey, Dan, Bill Martin says, hey, Dan, as long as they don't hold it in front of me, who cares whether they bring it? See, I think this. I'm going to use this, and Bill, hopefully you guys will understand this, okay? When I used to watch the College World Series, the Baseball College World Series, all right, they used to have in Rosenblatt Stadium the old-fashioned signs on the outfield walls, and I thought it looked really cool. And I watched it because I thought it was really cool. It had a great look to it. Then, of course, because of money, they built a new Rosenblatt Stadium. And then because of money, you had to have certain sponsors for NCAA. So they took all that out, and it looked like older guys remember this. Remember Riverfront Stadium? Remember Three Rivers? There was three of them. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia. They were all circular. They all looked the same. They all were drab. Well, that's what this looks like to me. So I don't even watch College World Series anymore. I like signs. That's one of the reasons we all like College Game Day. We like signs. Like, we should not live in an antiseptic society where, oh, wait a second, I have something on my shirt. No, wait, here. Oh, can't show Ray-Ban. Hey, any of you businesses out there, I would want behind me, don't at me, sponsored by Eddie's Condoms. Don't at me. Sponsored by Zog's Sex Wax. I don't care. I want one here, one over here, one down here, one up here, one over here. Put them all on. I like signs. Sign, sign, everywhere a sign. It's a great song when the 70s was rolling. Maybe that was in the 60s. Jeez. Crazy, you people. Oh, don't bring a sign. Oh. Izzy had team meetings. He thought he'd be free today. He is not free today. But that's all right. We'll get it. We'll try to get Izzy tomorrow. We'll get it going. We'll figure it out. And away we'll go. I hope everybody has a great afternoon. Tom Miller said, this guy stinks. I do. I stink. I'm awful. I'm horrible. I'm the worst. Don't pay attention to me. But I am going to win you some money. We won some last night, baby. We took Xavier. Yeah, we did. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon. You can catch more of this act at 107.5 in Indianapolis coming up noon to 3. We're going to talk some Matt Ryan. We're going to talk some NCAA. We're going to have, we're going to talk some Purdue. We're going to have Rafael Davis on. Louis Stefanovic, the dad of Sasha Stefanovic, is going to join us. So there you go. The Bonnies got it done last night. Congratulations to the Bonnies. The Bonnies went into Virginia, Paul Page Arena or Paul Jones Arena, whoever the hell Paul is, and whooped their ass. They didn't whoop their ass. They won it at the end. Congratulations to the Bonnies. I think the NIT's been good. Try to be nice to somebody today. Try not to be a jackass on Twitter. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, don't at me. We'll see you. Ryan, Dylan, thanks for everything. Last thing before we go. Last thing. If you have a chance, just throwing this out there. A lot of you have done this. But if you have a chance and you're looking to help kids, I have a charity. We give bikes to kids. Every dime goes to the kids. It's in conjunction with the best organization in Indianapolis, the Indiana Sports Corp. It's called Dakich Cycles for the City. We get bicycles and we give kids bikes. If you would like to donate, go to indianasportscorp.org. Across the tab is Inspiring Use. Press on it. It drops. There we are. Dakich Cycles for the City. Our goal last year, we gave away 350 bikes. Our goal this year is to give away 500 bikes. I think, much to the dismay of the Indy Star, who was fighting us on this for whatever the reasons, because the columnist thinks that we're bad people because we advertise our charity work. I think, have a $15,000 donation. A bike costs about $200 to $250. We bike, lock, helmet, all brand new. We don't take donations of bikes. We take donations of cash. If you're looking for something, you need a tax break, we're your people, man. Dakich Cycles for the City. IndianaSportsCorp.org. Across the top, there's a tab, Inspire Youth. Press on it, it drops. Boom, there it is. Dakich Cycles for the City. Thank you, Jennifer. It is a great, great cause. Join me, 107.5 The Fan in Indy. Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll be right back here tomorrow. Tomorrow we got games. Hopefully we'll have Izzy join us tomorrow. Have a great day.